Welcome to the Football Yanks podcast. Yeah, we're American, but we're talking about soccer here. Hosts Derek, Ryan, and Luke are all football fanatics, tracking our fellow Yanks in the EPL and abroad. Enjoy today's episode.
Welcome to the Football Yanks podcast. It was EPL week Matchday 14, and we just watched the opening two Matchday 15 matches, so we'll be talking about that. We're a day late this week because Luke has like third world internet where he lives.
Stop it. Stop it.
And we're down a Yank this week because Derek is in.
Give me the hat!
No chance.
You gave it to me as a gift.
You took it by force from me in New York City.
Yes, and it looked better on me in New York City.
New York City. Yeah, we were commenting. So this is our second time recording this.
Try number 2.
Because Luke's internet was not cooperating yesterday, and we don't have Derek, and nobody wants to hear a Ryan monologue.
I might pay for that. I might actually get on board with that. Can we
with a Ryan monologue?
Yeah, Ryan's monologues.
I don't know, man. I don't think anyone's asking for it, and nobody wants that. That's.
No, I agree with you entirely. I just wouldn't listen to you at all. You'd have 0 listeners. And probably a bunch of sponsors. You'd have hemorrhoids cream sponsors.
Like suddenly we have a hemorrhoid sponsor because it's just me here. That is the type of sponsor space I would bring for sure. Yeah.
So how about that Arsenal game, man?
That was crazy. So I hate Arsenal. I think probably maybe less than you somehow. You really hate Arsenal, which I appreciate.
It's a little obligatory. Yeah, it's just I have to. And I really hate Mikel Arteta. It's like I just cannot get over him for some reason.
Where does what's the source of your hatred for him? I don't love the guy. I think he is he got called out by Pep, his mentor last. Did you see that
a couple days ago? Yeah. I'm not doing Mikel Arteta.
Yeah.
I don't know if Pep really meant anything by that. I don't know. I just feel he's just feels like he stresses me out a little bit. He gives me this high anxiety feel. His eyebrows, I think I've said on the podcast, they're so perfectly tweezed. It's like, damn, man.
You called him a princey fuck.
You really care. But you can't take away from his achievements, both as a player and as a manager. But he was the captain of Arsenal, so he can go fuck himself. And I find him kind of petulant.
Yeah. Sometimes
his reactions, and we'll probably get into reacting to the referee a little later, I find really arrogant and kind of self-serving. And in fact, I kind of feel him self-serving anyway. But he's got a great football team. He's got them playing really well. He's got the grit in them. Honestly, that last-minute goal was not that surprising in a lot of ways. Kind of saw it coming.
Yeah.
Or you felt it coming.
Yeah, it was.
But I guess that's why you spent $150 million or euros, or whatever the fucking currency is, on Declan Rice.
Was it 150? Good grief.
I think it was 140 or something like that.
He has produced in big moments for them several times this season. Yeah.
The guy is fucking proper.
I love, as a Chelsea fan, watching us let academy products go and them evolve into the best player on every other team but Chelsea. It's wonderful. It's great to see. Yeah.
That's what happens when you have super bloated squads and nowhere for young players to go.
Our squad is not the bloated squad thing is a Todd Bowley phenomena. These decisions were made by the Abramovich era.
Well, to my understanding, they had a pretty bloated academy, but it was profitable for them because they could loan the players out and recoup fees eventually, which Todd Bowley is probably taking advantage of with the amount of money he spent. But
yep.
It is crazy that a Declan Rice never got a look. He never got a senior cap, right?
Mohamed Salah, De Bruyne, Jamal Musiala, like is going to be in the conversations at some point for a Ballon d'Or here in the next couple of years, and he was a Chelsea academy boy. I mean, there's Tino Livramento. Everybody's losing their mind over now. He's playing out of his skull for Newcastle. All of these are Chelsea academy products. I have always, my read on this has been, I don't know if it's more generous than yours. It's just a different take, I think, is that Chelsea, at least the way they used to be run, there was such a high demand for results. Like Abramovich, you lose like 3 in a row and Abramovich's helicopters landing on the training pitch. And,
fired the manager.
Yeah. And so like when you build that sort of culture, a manager is never going to look at youth. It's just never going to happen.
It's not part of the project.
Yep. Yeah. Like you are just getting results or you're canned. And so there's no relationship building there, no like long-term planning between the manager and the owner of the club. And so that's how we have I don't even think arguably, I think Chelsea has the greatest academy in the Premier League, and they just ship them all out. So yeah.
Yeah, I can't really speak to the rankings of academies. Players are coming out and succeeding, probably doing well. I think the larger conversation then is around what's the point of an academy in these clubs at this point. I could make an argument for them, but for owners like Abramovich and possibly the Saudi Arabian ownership, but not proven till this point. Are the academies important projects in these clubs anymore? I hope so. I appreciate the homegrown quota, that kind of stuff. I think it keeps the clubs at least a little community connected to their communities. But yes, it is interesting how the Abramovich era totally changed that. I think largely.
Well, they simultaneously developed it, established it, because Chelsea didn't have an academy on that level until Abramovich.
Because the dollars weren't necessarily there. But I'm sure all academies probably started to really push out players. Maybe not. Maybe Man United had the 92ers. But it's interesting. I don't know any histories about any club academies, to be honest.
Yeah. I know about Chelsea's obviously because I'm a Chelsea fan and they have a very good academy. And the evidence of that, to me, it's obvious. Their players are all over the top clubs in England and Europe, really. And yeah, I don't know.
Well, I'm glad they all left.
Yeah, yeah.
And sorry. Yeah.
The squad that Chelsea could have if they had given some rope to the managers to play youth players we'd probably still fuck it up if I'm being honest.
Very little sympathy for that issue when you've spent a billion whatever over however many years. Well, back to Luton. Talk about the other end of the spectrum in terms of financial resources. Luton,
yeah.
Oh, I feel for their fans.
What did they? They took a point away from Liverpool and really pushed Arsenal to their limit there.
Yeah, I think they're coming alive a little. It's all about home form for them now. I think they're the only team that's shown they might challenge Everton to get out.
Walmart that they play in was rocking.
Yeah,
today.
That place is awesome. I would go to more football games there than any other club probably in that.
Yeah, I was watching that and I was like, man, I gotta I really want to see a match at St. James Park.
For sure.
Yeah, and Luton, I forget the name of their.
It looks like a storage container house,
Yeah. Have you seen the videos of people, you have to walk through somene's living room to get into the stadium?
Yeah, through the alleys. It's like HGTV took over a small town club, made storage unit.
Yeah.
But they're a club to have in the Premier League. Great club to have in Premier League. Love it. Love it. And they have so many players that have played with them through the leagues too. It's not just like they got to the championship, bought a whole bunch of new players to succeed there. They've brought players along, which I think is like almost the most compelling story about it.
Yeah, I gotta say that's not how I play Football Manager, but
I
working
would be
for them.
interested to see what our listeners think of how you play Football Manager.
When I get promoted,
when
they all go. Everybody gets sold.
You have a fake little helicopter on your.
We level.
You do the Abramovich coming in, land on your mouse pad, and you start playing.
Nice. Yeah, I guess we should run through some of the fixtures we started to go through yesterday before things bombed out.
It might still bomb out.
Yeah. So we talked about the City and the Spuds, the Spurs. You guys stopped the bleeding.
Thank God.
Yeah, I would have loved.
Weeks.
I would have loved for it to have been 4 in a row.
Yeah, I'm sure you would have. Still, would have been ahead some other clubs in the.
Yeah,
but yes, and I think that the match for Spurs definitely highlighted our weaknesses, but in terms of like the larger season and the larger projects, only good things coming out of it for Tottenham. Big result against a City team that's looking depleted, that's not looking like themselves quite yet.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, we talked about this yesterday. I think they're going to have to go into the transfer market and try to add some depth, I imagine, in the winter transfer. And we'll have to cover some of the rumors and stuff if we have a down week of some sort ahead of the January transfer window. I know there will be some time off. Right now the fixtures are coming like thick and fast, but yeah, they are going to need to add some depth. I think they look depleted. They were obviously like an injury or two away from looking like this, and they never found a true backfill for Gundogan, and
none of their midfielders can break the lines.
Mahrez, yeah,
they don't really have like Jack Grealish is a dribbler. Obviously, Doku as well, and Doku probably being the best with the longest leash. But I'm like, and I think Phil Foden does really well, but he's more about getting on the half turn, although he can dribble past anybody. I just feel like there's no real attempt to break the lines from City. It's all too rigid. And without one creative player who can do it all like a De Bruyne, it's not happening for them. I would love to see Jack Grealish unleashed a little bit.
Yeah.
Everybody's down on him, but I feel like he's so caged up.
I'm not down on him. But this like happens with players for Pep. I don't know how to explain. Like this sort of happened to what's his name last season, Walker. He just like went through a period of time where Pep was like, he's not really in my plans anymore, and now he's starting consistently again, and they just extended him. So yeah.
Well, I also think that the center back thing, and this is part of the reason why Kyle Walker came back in the team, is because Pep will try stuff that's new and then realize that it's not really the best way to go. Like him bringing these center backs now, playing extra center backs and bringing them into midfield isn't really working in the same way the outside backs were. There's not as much flexibility, and center backs don't tend to be the same kind of players in those spaces. So he brought Kyle Walker back on to, give a little bit more balance with the extra center back in the team, but it just feels stagnant. Instead of bringing on a Cancelo, you're bringing in Ake or Nkanji in the center mid, which it's not the same thing,
They need Stones back for sure.
Stones, and once De Bruyne comes back, that'll change the game for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the exact kind of player they're calling out for. I feel like we should talk about, the advantage that was not called.
Right. I wish we had what was recorded. So my position yesterday is that we should just fucking automate refs out of the out of the game in any sport. I think AI should just replace refs. Nobody's paying to watch these fucks ruin games, and like I'm not there to see them. I don't care about the randomness they introduce. Like I want the right call, and I don't know what his fucking malfunction was here. He waved the play on, and then once Grealish was through, he called it off. And I think everyone's right to be pissed off. Haaland, now another inconsistency that I pointed out yesterday, and I think you agree. You disagree with my first point, but
I think
Haaland should have been
off the rocker for your first point.
Haaland, we should. Yeah. I could go on and on about how much I fucking hate the refs. But Haaland should have been carded for his meltdown, and I guess he got a yellow at 90+4. Maybe he did get a card.
I think he might have gotten a yellow card, but he kept going, and the kind of instruction was that people would get red cards for surrounding the referee like that.
Yeah, well, City's facing a big fine, apparently. Yeah. I don't know what a big fine is, but they...
Yeah, compared to the amount of money they have.
Just
write a check.
Do you think they even notice that? Like, the last fine they had for this was $75K.
The invoice stays at the manager level.
Yeah.
Nobody needs to approve it. It's not a big enough expense.
Yeah.
Well, I think so. To kind of, I agree with you on the second point. I think that Haaland's reaction was kind of over the line a little bit for sure. I don't like when the players circle around the referee. I think it's just kind of like. It's a little like play acting. It's a little performative, which is like fine. I guess they're performers, but I think that Haaland needs to look at himself a little bit and realize he missed two really good chances in a 3-3 tie with a team that is depleted at center back. He should have scored a hat trick in this game. No reason why he didn't.
Son had to score a goal for him.
Yes, literally. Fucking man. 2 minutes after he scores, fucking own goal.
Yeah. Couldn't happen to a better person.
I feel that Haaland needs to look at himself a little bit. On the referee being automated side, I just fundamentally think that there's something very important about the relationship between the players and the referee and the kind of conversation that happens in the game that adds in more ways than it takes away. You know, before VAR, the decisions were like 98.9% accurate all the time. The idea was to close the gap a little bit. We weren't that fucking far off.
Is that a fact?
Yeah, don't like quote me directly on the percentage, but we were pretty close. And I think VAR can help and should help. Right now, we can all have feelings on it. And VAR has gotten us close enough. I don't think we need 100% correctness all the time.
Why not?
Because there's room for interpretations for different acts, right? In terms of what happened at the City game, the referee knew he made a mistake exactly when he called it. Like, he knew he fucked up. But the difference about that kind of choice and, say, a VAR decision, that's a human decision. A computer might not make either of those decisions. You know, it's kind of hard to say, like, how do you automate a judgment like that? He made a wrong judgment. It's part of the game. He fucked up. I think you just keep going forward. City didn't have the referee to blame for tying that match.
Yeah.
I think that's the fundamental of it.
Yeah, so that I agree with. They should have put that match away against a really poor side.
Who played pretty well. Who played pretty, like, in the second half when Højbjerg came on, they did dominate parts of the match. The first half we were hanging in there for sure. Second half, the Tottenham did pretty well with a little bit more metal in the midfield.
Yeah. So I agree with that. I also like I've never seen a ref go, you know what, you have a point, and like overturn whatever call they've just made.
Well, he couldn't overturn it in that case. You know?
Right,
I'm also not super convinced that Jack Grealish was going to score. He's like 40 yards from goal.
Yeah, so that's, you can't, I'd say odds are he wouldn't finish that.
Almost odds are bigger that Emerson Royal catches up with him and just straight fucking takes his ass out for a straight red card to preserve the team.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking when it happened. I was like, fucking cleat that
Kill
asshole
him.
in his calf. Get his calf.
Kill that man.
Put a needle in the bubble of Jack Grealish's calf. It'll explode.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm proud of us for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you couldn't beat Chelsea, but somehow got a point out of City. So that's good. That's a good point for you guys. Anyway, let's see here. What do we have next? So we'll talk about Arsenal again.
Well, I think a similar story in the Wolves game, kind of just finding ways to win, not playing at their best.
Yeah, it's almost not.
It's not
it's like the same points that we'd make.
Yeah. Good team. Fuck Mikel Arteta.
Did Burnley win today? I didn't watch that because they lost. They lost to Wolves. Yeah. Okay. So they were also playing. I think they started a little bit ahead of the Arsenal match, but I didn't watch it. Anyway, we threw Burnley on here as a topic to discuss, mostly because they beat the bricks off Sheffield, and that led to Paul Heckingbottom's sacking.
Chris Wilder's back.
Yeah, and they reappointed Chris Wilder. And they play Liverpool next. That'll be easy. That's a good first.
Yeah, that's going to get whacked. I think Chris Wilder's an interesting manager to come back in the league. This is a little bit of a controversial hot take opinion, but Chris Wilder, in a lot of ways, in Sheffield United's first season in the Premier League, or first season back a couple of years ago, they got relegated and came back, obviously. He kind of like innovated the center backs going forward. He did it differently, where he was playing 5 in the back and he would push overlapping center backs, like the right and left-sided center backs in a 3. Mm-hmm. It was very interesting the first season they did that. That dude who like destroyed his life in his leg earlier in the season for Sheffield. Was that Sheffield?
Yeah. Basham?
Yeah, he was a big part of that team, I think.
Okay.
So I'm really excited to see Chris Wilder back in. He looks feisty.
Yeah, I honestly don't have strong memories of his tactical style, at least not in the way you do. But Sheffield,
he kept them up one year.
Yeah, I sincerely thought, with like as a guy, like we've talked about Vinny, like I like Vinny Company, and I like Burnley. I think the team has a cool history. It's another stadium that I'd love to see a game in, and so there's no like I just think they're sincerely one of the worst teams, like one of the worst promoted teams I've seen, at least in terms of their performances thus far. And Sheffield, I thought, probably had a little bit more about them. Like neither of their squads are good, but I would have edged Sheffield, like given Sheffield the edge in this, just based on what I had seen. Like they took City to the limit, and that might be the match where like Akanji was for sure offsides, and the piece of shit refs fucked up again. And like Haaland, I think after the match was like, yeah, they're right to be upset. I think that might be that. I'm not 100% on that, but yeah, Sheffield like has had like they've had some sparks of not brilliance, but they've had moments where they showed that they could belong, they could stay up, and I'd seen none of that from Burnley. But Burnley just beat the like 5-0. My backup plan, if your internet didn't work today, was to have Shannon on, because she's like a like hipster Burnley fan. She has like Burnley swag
anyway, please. I would love that.
Yeah, we'd have to have her on sometime. She doesn't pay attention to anything except for the score line for Burnley games. Like I don't think she could name a single player on Burnley, but She does have Burnley swag. Me and a group of our friends, and we have it in the Discord for the Football Yanks. We do a bottom 10 where you you pick a team who finished in the bottom 10 the previous season to include the 3 promoted teams, and then you it gives you someone to root for in the bottom 10 for the season. Mm-hmm. And Shannon always picks Burnley, and that's how she ended up being sort of an ironic Burnley fan.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. So
I think Burnley, if they played Luton 3 times this year, they've tied once and won twice, right? I think Burnley against these 2 newly promoted sides are going to do well, but against everybody else, you can't really have that approach with that wage bill currently in the way the Premier League is built out. And that's not just Burnley to, say, City, Chelsea, whoever. That's Burnley to Wolves, as seen today, and Burnley to Fulham. Those, the talent kind of page turners are not there.
Yeah.
I think, in fact, all of these newly promoted clubs have really poorly recruited in the summer transfer window. I don't think anybody did enough to make a difference. Luton, definitely not. Sheffield, definitely not. Maybe Burnley, but it's not paying off for them.
I don't know who Burnley brought in at all.
Well, that's it. I don't know any players, any of these.
We did. I know
Towson at Luton and what's his name played at Chelsea. Ross Barkley are probably the 2 biggest names who've gone to a promoted club, and that's not typical.
Yeah, Barkley with a banger today. Did you see his goal?
I did not.
Yeah, they kept saying it was on his birthday. Yeah, he was their 3rd goal.
Yeah. I think he's kind of been on a mission. He's been fun to watch, actually.
Yeah, I've always thought he was fun to watch. He actually is a pretty incredible passer of the ball.
I agree. I've always liked Ross Barkley. I think he got a hard shtick of it. I think he got a hard shtick of it at Chelsea and then at Everton, I believe. He kind of was in that Conor Gallagher world of didn't know exactly where to fit in the midfield, could do a little bit of everything, but wasn't necessarily blow your mind out going forward. But his passing range is amazing.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's talk Newcastle. Oh, man, I did it. We talked about this yesterday. I'm supposed to be, I guess I kind of talked about the score of the Burnley game. We skipped over Arsenal, Wolves. Some feedback that we got is that I should go over the score and maybe some major moments from a match and not assume that everyone watches virtually every game like I do. So yeah, Newcastle 1, Man United 0 with Anthony Gordon goal. Great assist by Trippier, who just keeps getting better and better as far as I can tell. And Man United, we talked about this yesterday, I think just before your internet crashed out, and they look toothless. They look like a team that is not playing for each other. It looks like a team who, well, we had said this yesterday, and today, all of these stories have come out about how Ten Hag is, I don't know how they're assigning this number, but I've seen things like Ten Hag is fighting to keep 50% of the locker room. They're putting percentages
out. Yeah. I don't. Yeah, how do they do that? Are they a certain number of players who coming up?
They're doing a roll call. Yeah,
it's probably one player's agent's sister telling Sky Sports this shit.
Yeah, it's just Rashford's agent. Things aren't going well here. Create a distraction.
Someone who wants Ten Hag to get fired.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if it's someone in Sancho's camp, to be honest. Which I kind of love the deviousness. It's like Game of Thrones at Man United. It's pretty poor, really bad performance. I think they've gotten dished on by every corner of the football punditry world. Just
did you see that Matic came out and said that while he was at United, he was in charge of the player discipline like arrangement and like managing the fines and stuff, and that Sancho was almost always late to practice. Like he was virtually late every day. Like he came out and said like, don't have much of a relationship with Ten Hag, but I believe him type thing.
Yeah, I'm sure it's true. I'm sure Jadon Sancho. I don't think like that happens out of nowhere, but the truth is that, well, no, I don't think this is entirely true, but if Erik Ten Hag can't manage him, then he should move him on, and he should have been moved on before.
Yeah.
It's poor management to let it to get to this place. I think that's the real, Sancho definitely has some fault on his shoulders. Like he's a footballer, get on with it kind of thing. But
It's called soccer. Go USA.
Is that our Joe Biden advertisement that we just got?
It's called soccer.
Thank you for reminding me. All right, soccer.
Yeah.
I think that he needs to kind of get on with it.
You sound annoyed.
No, not at all. I'm just reacting. Trying to decide if how serious you are. Joe's pretty serious.
Yeah. He looked serious.
He's probably got the aviators on, saying that to like.
I think he did. That was a commercial during the World Cup.
He definitely had sunglasses on.
That I yanked that from. Yeah, I think he did have. Yeah, Joe Cool with his aviators.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of Biden's attire, what do you think of the drip on Ten Hag in this hat? The hat. Yeah.
Well, I went to a repeal day party this weekend and wore the same exact hat, so I feel like there might be some pictures of me wearing it out there in the world. So all about it, supportive. He looks kind of like an Irishman during the potato famine, but he looks fine. It's cold. It's getting cold in Manchester.
Yeah. Does that help with the cold? I guess it would. It's like a thicker hat. I don't know. I don't know much about that.
We should ask Derek next time he's on. To be clear, Derek is balding, probably. We should get him a hat and see if we can do like
get him a Ten Hag hat.
Get him a trial. Though Derek's like the complete opposite, kind of like he looks opposite of Ten Hag. I couldn't imagine someone more different.
Yeah. Ten Hag is like he does have like a calming presence about him, and I would not like. Derek is like, if you could animate anxiety, it would be Derek.
I don't get the feeling that Ten Hag is trying to burn the world down, just Man United, where Derek might be trying to get after the world.
Not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure about that guy, honestly, or what like where his allegiances are. Yeah. Oh man, I had a thought and then I lost it. We got to get you. Oh, I was going to say, we do have like photos of me and Derek on the website. I've got to get a profile up for you. The listeners today got to hear the new intro. Forgot to mention that at the beginning.
Officially.
So you're officially, took me long enough. I think I drove the intro guy insane because it was like completely on me to get him info. And yeah. All right, let's talk. I have a lot to say about this Chelsea-Brighton game. So the match. Let's see the highlights. Chelsea 3, Brighton 2, and I just want to make sure I'm correct here. Badiashile with a really fantastic assist, sort of a heads up, kick the ball back, like I guess an overhead kick, kind of back into the box on a corner kick. Enzo Fernandez didn't even have to jump, finishes like just unmarked for some reason, finishes the first goal. Nicholas Jackson assists to Levi Colwill on another corner. Levi's first goal as a Chelsea player, I think that's so, right. Yeah. Maybe so Enzo's was his first goal for Chelsea in the PL. Levi's might have been his first goal, period. And he tried
scored for Brighton last year. He was at Brighton last year, right? Or am I wrong?
I meant for Chelsea, period.
Chelsea.
But I don't think he'd scored for Brighton.
Okay.
He might have a PL goal, though. I don't know. But I know for sure that was his first goal as a Chelsea player. Yeah, and he tried to do a muted celebration. Notably, then Conor Gallagher picks up his first yellow card. Conor Gallagher plays this whole season plays as just an absolute maniac, and I love it. Like, he brings
really in charge for pressing. Like, he starts the press.
Yeah. He brings the grit and tenacity to this team, and he deserves in my opinion, he deserves the captain's armband. Like, he's as close to an acting captain, acting advocate for the team on the field. To me, close.
Deserved to get sent off.
He also what?
Deserved to get sent off.
So I want to talk to you about that. I'm like 50-50, and I'm really trying to be neutral about it. I've watched that tackle a few times. But I mean, I guess ultimately you can't make that tackle if you're on a card already, especially that close. So I guess we're
any 50% challenge there that you're like halfway to a yellow, you can't be anywhere close to.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it was one of those tackles that looked a lot worse. Like, it was sold a little bit. It looked a lot worse than it actually was. And I mean, he takes a red in the 45th minute. Before that happened, Bueno Nate, I think is how you say his name. What a goal. Yeah. The best goal in this game. So smooth, takes the ball out onto his left foot and buries it. Nothing Sanchez could do to stop that. And then Enzo Fernandez for Chelsea's third goal. This was off a breakaway. I think it was a pass from like Sterling to Jackson to Mudryk, who was in on goal, and Milner clobbers Mudryk. And this is where I will like take huge issue with the commentators. But I'm curious what you think of that. But before we talk about that, João Pedro, he scores Burnley's second to make it 3-2. They added like 20 minutes of extra time to this fucking game, and then the bench is cleared at the end, and everybody everybody became friends after the match. So, So let's. Do you have any thoughts on the foul against Mudryk?
So I think that I can, in my most neutral hat on, I can see both ways. For me, it's one that shouldn't be reviewed. I feel like that one it's one of those when you slow it down, it looks a lot different. I've been in a position like that as a right back from kind of where Milner's position was coming from, and I can just see how it was more of a coming together than a foul. I can also see how a Chelsea fan would be fucking pissed that it wouldn't be a penalty if it wasn't made to be. So I can kind of see on both sides. I don't like the VAR change there, but that's kind of a general feeling I have about many things, including things that have
you don't like the correct call being made.
No. See, that is an exact position where if you have not been in that position as a player, as a defender, and I'm not saying you haven't, but generally, it is very hard to understand how two players coming together that quickly could not be a penalty. I think that the referee gets a machine could not make that call one way or the other.
He's not. It's not a coming together. Milner runs through him, makes no play on the ball, can't get to the ball. Mudryk can, and Milner just runs through him.
So I'm totally willing to give you that, 100%. I understand why it was called for a penalty. I am of the opinion that a call that's that close, which I think is close, shouldn't be brought back to VAR. The game should continue. I think it's obviously a controversial point of view. I understand why he sees it on the screen in a slow motion and makes a decision. And good play to Modric for getting into position. So it's not. I don't have anything in the game necessarily, but I just don't like it being called back all these penalties being slow motioned, all these straight red cards, watching them slow motion. It takes the context out of the match. And these referees haven't played the game at that level, so they don't really know how things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just my opinion on VAR in general. And I think that this was one of those. But I can see how it would have been called a penalty in the moment too.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it wasn't called in the moment. To me, it was crystal clear that it should have been called by a penalty by the referee on the pitch, and I was happy that VAR overturned it. Like, obviously all of this stuff looks worse in slow motion, but Milner never had a shot at the ball and just ran through Mudryk. And I think he was clever about how he did it in ways, because like he sort of tried to make it look like it was just a coming together. But yeah, I don't know that. For me, that's a penalty all day. I would feel that way if a Chelsea player did that to a Brighton player. Like, I'm certain of it. You just can't do that. Like, I don't know. And then the other, I thought the announcing around this game, I had these stats up yesterday, and it's closed out right now, and I'm not going to search for it live, but, the fucking announcers, at least that we have in America, Tim Howard, Robbie Mustoe, and Rebecca Lowe, these fucking styrofoam boxes that they have talking about this game, they were wrong about everything across the board, as far as I could tell. They said Chelsea played poorly. They said Chelsea were playing poorly at the end of the first half, where Brighton didn't have a shot for 44 minutes. Chelsea had more XG. They won on the score sheet. They had more XG if you take the XG away from the penalty. And they were going on and on about how Caicedo should have been given a second yellow card. Like, when the match was over, he didn't even have
Caicedo should have been sent off.
He didn't have a yellow card, period.
Yeah, he had a yellow card.
No, he did not.
He didn't get a yellow card. I thought he got one yellow card. He for sure did.
No.
Right, let's check it. I believe you.
I'm looking at it right now.
Really?
He had no yellow card. They thought that, so Badiashile...
There was at least one yellow card in there for Caicedo then.
No. Oh, do you mean he should have received one?
Yeah.
He should have received one, yes.
Yeah.
But they were coming unhinged that Caicedo should have gotten a second yellow card and been sent off, and he didn't have a yellow card. Badiashile, who was close to Caicedo, received a yellow card after a Caicedo tackle for kicking the ball away, for time wasting. And I guess they thought Caicedo received that, but they have the same info that I do. Like, I was looking at it on my screen at the end of the game where they showed who had received yellow cards, and Caicedo didn't get one. He didn't have a booking in this game. Yeah, he should have. I agree that at least one of those tackles, especially in the span, like, they were coming thick and fast for a minute there. But yeah, the commentary around this game drove me fucking crazy. And De Zerbi has had like he's been in the press since this game saying that they thoroughly outplayed Chelsea. And I don't see, like, nothing agrees with that. And then the other thing I want to say is people keep saying that Caicedo has not been playing well. He made quite a few key interceptions, and he was obviously missed against Newcastle, and really does help with the holding midfield duties with this team. He is missed when he's not in the squad.
So I think he's certainly missed when he's not in the squad. What I'm looking at right now does say he got a yellow card in the 52nd minute. I don't really want to get into whether or not that's true, but I do think Caicedo hasn't really lived up to expectations. It has seemed when I've watched him play that he feels very hurried. Like it looks to me like he's feeling the pressure. what he does is he covers so much ground. He lets Enzo get forward, which could only be a good thing for that team. But I still don't think the balance is necessarily right in that midfield for whatever reason. They're obviously two new players. A new three players playing in there together with Gallagher, Enzo, and Caicedo. That's a totally different kind of dynamic than that's been there.
Where are you seeing Caicedo got a yellow card? It's not in the Google match report. It's not on who scored.
Looking at it's just on a random article. There's a screenshot of a yellow card being given to Caicedo at 51 minutes. But again, this is not really
that's going to Badiashile.
So it was so the card came up incorrectly on the game itself, like on the in the broadcasting.
Oh, like on the screen?
Yeah, so I'm looking at a screenshot that says Caicedo.
I remember seeing the screenshot at the end of the game where it has, you know how it has like who scored and when the yellow cards were given out, or who received yellow cards. Caicedo wasn't listed on there.
Yeah, I don't really. I might be looking at an old game. It's not really important. I do think though, like where, in terms of like how we complain about the referees and their decisions. Like what is the place that we stop for a yellow card? Like if somebody like Caicedo goes in for multiple challenges on a yellow card, that are all yellow card tangible, like they're right there, and doesn't give any of the yellow cards, is there any VAR or AI generated decision that goes against what's being called on the field? I don't know. I think there's too much pressure on these officials to make the exact right call every time, so they're making a lot of wrong calls. And maybe not an excuse, but if you think about it psychologically, it makes sense that these guys are under a huge amount of pressure to do everything right, or else they're going to get screamed "fuck off" by all these players over and over again. So I think that comes into play both in the call of the penalty and the officiating around Caicedo in the match, because I think Caicedo did go into, of what I watched. I didn't watch every second of the game. Kind of was one of those I was in and out of. But I saw two for sure yellow card fouls that I was like, wow, that's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
But I think that the other part is the referee doesn't want to send off another Chelsea player because he's already sent off Conor Gallagher. So if you think into like what's happening in the psychology in the game, it's more complicated than just a yellow or not. I do think that Caicedo has underperformed, though. I think there's a little bit more for him to give that I believe will come out in time.
Yeah. I just don't think he's been bad. I think that
when you spend that much money, dollar figure, that the pressure is going to be there.
Yeah.
And especially when you compare to Declan Rice, who we just talked about, who's been leaps and bounds up to snuff. It's just a hard spot for Caicedo to be, I think.
Yeah.
Like, talk about his psychology. That's a huge amount of pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess in the context that like Declan Rice has played better than Caicedo. Caicedo's also younger by a couple of years. I think Caicedo's 21 and Declan is like about 25.
Thiago Silva was really good in that game too.
Yeah.
I thought that was huge.
Caicedo's 22.
That he had a little bit of a comeback after making that big mistake.
Yeah.
So really good I love that.
Dude, there's only 2 years difference between Caicedo and Declan. Declan Rice is 24. That guy is what a player, man.
God, man.
He's so good.
But you won the game. Chelsea won the game. So
Chelsea won the game.
And a good team for them to play too. I think again, Brighton's exactly the kind of team that Pochettino's teams beat.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, so Chelsea have Man United tomorrow. That will be a really interesting game because Man United are awful, but have gotten enough results to remain somewhat relevant.
Above some other teams.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. Chelsea now, they have like a couple more injuries. And Yeah, I don't like, there's like phantom injuries happening on the training pitch. Like every injury report adds more people to it.
Yeah. I
And
think
Cuckoo,
the only team in the league that like we talked a little bit about like ranking the disasters of injuries right now at all these clubs. I would say
Yeah.
Brighton is probably the worst
Yeah,
because of
Brighton.
the wage bill, the thin squad, and competing on two fronts now. Like that's a hard thing for a club of that size to do.
Yeah.
Europe, I mean, midweek games.
Yeah. I think Chelsea now is back up to 11 on their injury report. Yeah, it's outrageous, the number of injuries in the PL in general.
This guy's played too many games. We've been saying
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it
Too
really
many
is
games.
like something's got to give here. But yeah, so I guess he was injured during this game. This was the type of game that I would have expected Leslie Ugochukwu to come into, but I didn't realize he was injured. So after the game, I was like, why the hell didn't he like playing down a man? That's when you'd bring in more stability in the midfield, like a more defensive presence in the midfield. And he didn't come in, and then I noticed after the match that he wasn't even in the squad, and then saw the injury report today, and he's picked something up. There's no details around it, but they just say he's like starting his rehabilitation process or whatever. Yeah, I guess that's all I'll say about that. Where I was going with this is I think every Chelsea fan heading into the run of fixtures that they just had against Tottenham, City, Newcastle, Brighton. There was one other in there. Yeah, I don't remember. Anyway, I really thought there was a possibility that we lose all of them, and we picked up points here and there. Really, really tough run of form that we're about to put behind us, and then we can kind of see where the squad goes as they get healthier. Losing in Cuckoo and then losing in Cuckoo's backup, like literally after he scores his first goal in Chukwuemeka, and then having to change the whole formation after getting through your preseason thinking you were playing a completely different way is that's a huge blow. And then you're sort of saddled with Nicholas Jackson, who hasn't been the greatest, but you have nowhere else to go. Even Broya's been injured, so you can't even get a different look there. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully they get healthier.
Raheem Sterling, false number 9, is not going to be the answer going forward for sure.
No. Yeah, and honestly, yeah, if Raheem wasn't like a player reborn this season, and they hadn't the signing of the season has been the dude who they was like their third choice, virtually deadline day signing, like sort of last minute signing in Cole Palmer. Yeah. So anyway, Liverpool 4, Fulham 3. This for me was the game to watch. The match to watch.
Goals are so good.
It's like Klopp was like, I'm interested in one thing and one thing only, and that's fucking bangers.
Bring me the Puskas Award.
that is all I want to see are bangers. I think it is a fucking crime that they called that set piece from Trent a own goal. Did you see that? That's what they ruled that
because it came off the
back of his head or something, back of his shoulder.
One of those
dude.
I hope he gets the performance bonus anyway.
Yeah, dude. That's
what
really a set piece.
Yeah, what a hit.
What a set piece. McAllister's goal, insane. Not to mention Anthony Robinson, his assist, his Anthony Robinson, Jedi Robinson, I thought was fantastic in this game. And I thought Tim Ream was really fantastic in this game, which it's hard to say when you're a defender and your team lets 4 goals in, but these goals they scored were unfucking stoppable worldies.
Yeah, I think Fulham's going to feel pretty aggrieved, honestly. They probably were just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
No, we played like as good as they could. Pereira was great. Paulinho was great. But
dude, yeah, if you told them before the game, like, we'll give you 3 goals against Liverpool, how do you like your odds? They would have been like hell yeah, we'll take it, you know,
but just all world is. And the best thing about Alexander-Arnold's free kick, and yeah, it does suck that it's an own goal, but to do that as a right footer from that side of the pitch is like, that's fucking really hard. And probably the reason it hits the crossbar because it's on the right side for a right footer. But what a fucking free kick from that side of the pitch. Oh
yeah. I know I have some friends who are not the biggest soccer fans that listen to this. Like, if you're like on the fence about this as a sport, like, watch the match highlights from this game. Like, the goals that were scored in this game were crazy, and like one of the misses was crazy. The breakaway to Nunez like hit the framework. Lots of action in this game. I was watching I believe it was the Chelsea game while this was being played, and I saw the scoreline and was like, I've got to go back and watch, I guess, all of this game, and it was worth every minute. Szoboszlai continues to look great, by the way. Like, he's just so fast and so good on the ball. He draws fouls all the time, which I guess is like, it's great for his contributions to the team, but the last player I can remember that got hacked the way he does was Hazard, that I followed closely anyway, and
for sure Jack Grealish too.
Oh, and yeah, Grealish gets fouled like crazy,
especially when he was at Aston Villa.
Yeah, and that adds up. That like takes a toll over time. So yeah.
Well, he's playing in a different position, too. He's not quite as vulnerable to those kinds of fouls. You know, he's not running full speed with the ball quite as often as, say, like Hazard or Grealish might in that kind of number 8 role. But what a player. Like, yeah, signing of the season, probably. Or at least up there in the top 3 signings of the season.
Signing of the season. Maybe we should talk about that at like during the January transfer window. Whenever yeah, like
we need to have like a transfer and like recap extravaganza.
Yeah, like recap the signings from the last window and then talk about what's something like that. But off the top of my head, it might be him. I don't know. There have been some like pretty impactful, like hard to like. Just between him and Declan Rice, like that's a huge signing too, who's produced in big moments.
Just did, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to like
Cole
really
Palmer
think
might
about
be up there. I think Vicario. There's a lot of big signings.
Yeah, Vicario.
Really
Especially on that team. Like, yeah, he's got a lot of work to do on that team. Yeah. All right. Did I cover everything for? Yeah, I think so. So Bournemouth 2, Villa 2. I threw this on here because I thought this was another really fun match.
Really surprising that Aston Villa tied Bournemouth, to be honest. I feel like Aston Villa has been really good side. Like just beat Spurs, have been really competitive with every top team they play. It was kind of surprising to see it, but
Bournemouth.
I think Aston Villa are in Europe, right? Yeah, they are.
Yep. Bournemouth beat Newcastle. And yeah, they seem to be sort of putting it together. They've got a couple big injuries on their team too. Like Alex Scott, I know they've been trying to like work back from injury and then he got hurt again. They've got a new coach who's they
taking time to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Billingsley's been out as well, right? Is that what his name is? The tall dude with the hair?
The tall dude with the hair. I missed the name you said.
Billingsley. But now that sounds like a fucking made up name. Billingsley. Do you play for Bournemouth?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, the goals in this game were fun, I thought, and it was just back and forth action. 2-2 Bournemouth Villa. Semenyo with the opening goal, followed by Leon Bailey to pull it even, and Slanky for the second Bournemouth goal, and then Ollie Watkins to eke out the draw. It really looked like Bournemouth was going to win this.
Ollie Watkins, what a player!
Yeah, he's had a great season.
I wonder how long he'll be at Aston Villa. The person I was thinking his name is Philip Billing.
Oh yeah, Billing. Yeah, you were making a name.
Billingsley.
Yeah, Billing is injured, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think what's it called? I think Ollie Watkins.
No, he was in.
Was he playing?
Yeah, he played.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I think Ollie Watkins could be the next 70 to 80 million pound striker.
Yeah, he's subbed on. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like between him and Tony, I think if I was, I'm obviously don't work in professional football, but if I was a betting guy, I would say Ollie Watkins is going to have a better outcome more quickly than a Ivan Toney at this point.
You think so?
Yeah, he presses more, and the game right now is all about pressing from the front. He does bring players in. He's on a hot streak while Ivan Toney hasn't played for 8 months. You don't know how long it's going to take him to get up to the pace of it.
Yeah.
I think Ollie Watkins is fantastic.
Do you still think that nobody signs Toney in the January window?
I think that I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't happen.
Okay.
I just think the price that's going to be asked is too high, and it's not too long till it'll be a lot less. It'll be a lot lower.
Yeah.
Again, a player who hasn't played for 8 months sounded great when he hadn't played for 2 months, but now you just don't know what you're going to get. How fit is he? Is he going to be able to get up to the pace of it? Because it's not that he hasn't just been playing; he hasn't been training at the club, right?
Yeah,
I believe that's the case. He can't be anywhere around football. So,
oh no, he's been training.
Is he training at
yes,
at the club?
Yeah,
Okay.
And he has been for a while. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, I ended up reading about this. The way it worked was there was a period where he couldn't be around the club at all, and then like for a while he's been able to train with the club. Yeah,
but still, you don't know where he's going to be. So
Yep.
I think it's a bigger question. I don't think anybody's going to buy him for 80 to 100 million. I think if somebody goes after him, they'll want 30 to 40. I don't think they're going to take that for him.
They won't take that. Yeah.
As they should.
Yeah. I think that's it. Who do you think looks more like a vampire, Unai Emery or Arteta?
Oh, Unai Emery for sure, because Unai Emery could fucking destroy Mikel Arteta. Like one bite, just eat him up. No. I think Unai Emery got such a bad go of it at Arsenal for some reason. What he's done in his career is fantastic.
Isn't he the winningest manager in Europe or something like that?
He's won 5 Europa Leagues.
Yeah.
He's the boss of the fucking Europa League.
Yeah.
Which is not an easy tournament to win.
No.
The travel's worse than the Champions League. The Thursday matches fucking suck, I imagine,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, really good manager, but definitely more like a vampire. It's like the receding hairline he has, it's like perfect for a fucking vampire.
Yeah.
He's got thin lips too, so he could have no blood in his body. And he's Spanish,
it's just drained from his face.
Yeah, but his accent has he pronounces more with the TH, I think. I don't know. I don't really hear Mikel Arteta or Emery speak Spanish ever, but he has a more wispy voice, which I appreciate him as a Dracula.
Yeah.
I'm going to think about this a long time.
This was more of an answer than I could have possibly asked for. The last thing I had on here for us to go over real quick is there's a lot of fixtures coming up, and I'm going to miss the next podcast, so it'll be just you and Derek. I'll be editing, but yeah, I threw down between now and I think the next time we talk, the next podcast on Monday that we record, assuming internet holds up. These are matches that will happen between now and then. So I figured we'd run through them and maybe give a prediction, each of us.
Oh, I like that. I like
who we think would win. Yeah, Man U and Chelsea.
This is at Old Trafford.
It is at Old Trafford. Yeah, what are your thoughts on this? I'll let you go first.
Oh, I think a 2-2 draw sounds about right.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I'm gonna go 3-2 Chelsea. Yeah, that's where I'm going. Onana's so bad, man. That guy is so bad. They have so many problems at that club. Chelsea should have Reece James back. Malo Gusto is injured somehow. So, I was curious why he didn't play in the Brighton game, and that's why he's injured. Ugochukwu is now injured. Noni Madueke is somehow injured. Yeah, hopefully we'll see some more Cole Palmer in that one. And maybe a little more Broya. I don't know.
Yeah, I just think that the way that Man United are playing, the kind of counterattacking, it has goals in it. They have goals in the team as long as Martial doesn't start. Please God, don't let Martial start. But I think they have a couple goals in them. And at home, yeah, I don't know. They've been kind of worse at home, though, I feel.
They've been terrible at home.
Yeah. 2-2, yeah. I'm sticking with it. You're not talking me out of it.
They've been so bad at home. It's like really shocking how bad. Villa and City. I think this is a tough one.
I think that City will win 3-1. I think that they've just played against a team that plays similarly, high line. And I think that
does this happen tomorrow?
City will destroy Villa.
I think this happens tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Oh man. I'm gonna say Villa 2, Man City 1.
I love it.
Yeah, that's where I'm going with that.
That's probably going to be the most exciting game. I think that Man U Chelsea is going to be a little bit of a bore fest, but I think the Villa City game has a lot of opportunity to be really fascinating.
I think it's interesting you say that. So a thought that I've had, and I think some other people have made this comment, like Chelsea games this season have not been boring. Like they're fucking crazy. They lead the league in cards. I think Man United wants to play a boring game. Yeah, and they definitely do.
They want to control it slightly robotically. That's something they just can't do, but I think they're just going to dull it down. I agree. Yeah. I think Chelsea's. I love watching Pochettino teams play.
Yeah.
I don't think that they will be the problem. I think it'll be Man United.
Tottenham West Ham. I threw this Tottenham on here just because of context, I guess. But yeah, good.
2-1. I'd say Tottenham beats West Ham at home.
Yeah, West Ham seemed really good early season. I think they are still good. Like the EPL is crazy competitive. Like we just saw a team that was just promoted nearly take a point off the league leaders and who almost won the league last season. And so yeah, West Ham really looked bright at the beginning of the season, and they've still have moments of like really good soccer the last couple of weeks, but it's sort of like fallen off a bit.
They don't have Antonio. They're not really the headline team either, so we don't hear about them quite in the same way we hear about bigger clubs or more, I don't know, marketable clubs from Peacock and NBC. But yeah, I think they're a good team, but without Antonio, I don't think I could see it being 2-0, 2-1 to Tottenham.
I think
Christian Romero's back too, which is a huge return for us.
Yeah. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to say West Ham 2, Tottenham 1. And I think this is a game where it would be entirely different if Maddison was healthy.
I think Lo Celso was probably the most interesting player in the Man City game because he won't hit like 40-yard balls like Madison will, but he does do the intricate stuff really well. So if he gets pushed farther forward and there's like a Højbjerg, Basuma, actually Basuma's no, I don't know if Basuma is no, he's not suspended for the next game.
No, he's not.
It's Dogi who gets another yellow card will be suspended.
He makes some. I mean, he's a kid, right?
Yeah, he's 20 years old.
He makes some aggressive tackles.
Yeah, dude's gonna be a fucking worldie of a left back. I would imagine he's at Spurs for like 2 more years.
Yeah,
and someone's gonna buy him. It's fucking so good, and he is rash as fuck, which I love.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like,
he has like a little bit of Christian Romero.
He could be sent off in every fucking game. Like,
I like that edge though.
No, I know. You have to have that in your team. So this isn't a criticism. I'm just saying, like, I watch him. He plays with a face full of fury, man. Like,
he's gonna fuck someone up. Christian Romero being back will add a little bit more of that to that. But getting Emerson Royal out of that center back position is going to help us a huge amount in build up. So I'm confident that we can.
You don't think Dyer gets a start?
Nope.
No, I'm fucking around.
I feel for Eric Dyer, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he loves Todd somehow. Somebody has to.
He's a great professional. He's been with the club for so long that I kind of have a soft spot, but he's not the player for us right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately for Villa, they're on here twice because after City, they go to play Arsenal. Now, both of those fixtures are at home for them, but that's a tough, that's a big ask to play those teams in the same calendar week.
I think that is going to be fucking hard. It helps that it's in the Midlands and they don't have to travel for it.
Yeah.
I think that Villa beat Arsenal. I think Emery really is going to want to beat Arsenal. So I go 2-1 Villa. Villa's a good team.
They are. And like they had smart transfer business. I love Unai Emery.
Like so many good players came into that team.
Yeah, Pau Torres is sick. Yeah.
I wish oh man, there's like 10 clubs who could say, probably like 5, who all probably are saying, why didn't we sign Pau Torres like 3 fucking years ago?
Yeah. Probably more clubs than that, to be honest. But yeah. Anyway, so I would love for Villa to beat Arsenal. I just don't think it's going to happen. Arsenal just have that like City from last year thing about them where they win, like they figure out ways to win. I'm gonna go Arsenal 3, Villa 1. Yeah, I should have written these down. Anyway.
I'll remember every time that I was right. Don't worry.
I'm not gonna remember any of this. I mean, maybe I will. I have to edit this, so I'll hear it a second time, and then maybe it'll stick. But I'm mostly talking shit this whole podcast every week, so it's like none of it's sticking for me. And then Tottenham plays Newcastle, which should be a really fun.
Yeah, I think that has a lot of potential, especially because both teams are like decimated with injuries.
Yeah, just the like it's like a hospital ward like match or something.
Well, I think Nick Pope being out that's a huge loss for Newcastle. Like we don't really know how they're going to react to that yet.
Yeah, Tottenham's at home for this one. God, I don't know. I think Tottenham probably wins this one.
How do they beat Newcastle but not West Ham?
What I'm thinking is like West Ham is going to play a low block and counter. And I watched Wolves kind of pick apart Tottenham. It took a while, but Wolves kind of hurt Tottenham in that way. And Tottenham doesn't have Maddison to sort of help with unlocking that. And I think they're missing that. I think if Maddison was in the squad, they would rip apart West Ham. Newcastle, they're missing their starting goalie. They're missing so many players. I think the midfield battle will be interesting unless there's an injury that I've forgotten about. I'm assuming they'll have Isak in for this. He's been struggling. He's been back and forth injured too. They started Anthony Gordon as a striker in one of the games because they had no strike. So, yeah, I think it depends on how they hobble through this week. Who does Newcastle play midweek? They must be playing tomorrow against someone. They play Everton tomorrow or Thursday.
Damn,
so this game must be Sunday. Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. So Newcastle has a tighter turnaround too.
Yeah. I think Tottenham wins this. I think they'll win this.
It.
Yeah.
2-1, 2-0.
Maybe 2.
I think 2-0.
2-0. Yeah.
That's my call.
I think we're gonna be in agreement on that one. Yeah.
Love it.
But yeah, that's my call on West Ham is not I'm trying to not be anti-Tottenham. I really think they'll struggle with that style, just because of what I saw against Wolves. But yeah,
it's a good way to end a podcast, I think, where we agree.
Yeah. How often that happens for maybe a total of 3 minutes per podcast. So yeah, well, that's all I got, man.
Decrease that amount. Decrease that amount every podcast now.
Yeah, we'll work on that together. Yeah, and then I'm out next time. I am snowboarding. Actually, I was waxing my snowboard while watching that Arsenal game, so I'm all good.
That's what they call it.
Pack up
snowboard.
Yeah, I've got to pack after this. I hate packing, especially when it's like this. I've got to pack all my snowboard gear and make sure I didn't forget any of that. And then also I have to have stuff for when I'm not snowboarding. Yeah. Shannon has
about as much sympathy as I do for Chelsea's injury problem with your issues over there. Yeah. I'm waxing my snowboard and I can't forget it. I just can't forget my snowboard.
Yeah. It's not. It's the goggles and everything else that goes into it. But yeah, they got nearly 3 feet of snow where I'm going over the weekend, so I'm pretty stoked. Steamboat Springs, Colorado.
Cool. Have fun.
So I'm stoked. Yeah, we have a website. I talked about it earlier, footballyanks.com. We have a Discord. Both of those will be in the description for the show. Derek should be back next week. For some reason, you people miss him when he's not here. So it'll be Derek and Luke next week. Nobody ever says they miss me, notably. But
it's called
what?
Said it's called soccer.
Yeah.
It's called soccer. Go USA.
Yeah.
Go USA.
What else? I think that's it. I feel like I'm missing something. Like and subscribe. I'm looking into ways to add video to this in the new year, and
they want to see our faces.
And we got to get Luke a soundboard. So these are things that are in the works, and yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the support on social media and stuff, and we'll catch you guys next week.
See you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Football Yanks podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. We'll see you next time.